Put aside everything you're currently doing. We are about to reveal why the overwhelming majority of people, 99% of them, will live their entire lives without ever truly experiencing it. If, at this very moment, at 2 in the morning, you find yourself questioning every choice you've made, then the next 30 minutes could be the most significant of your existence. Imagine this. The person sitting next to you on public transport, your colleague at work, or perhaps even you, the reader. All are living someone else's dreams while their own souls slowly fade. Each morning they wake to an alarm clock they didn't set. Every day they follow rules established by others. Each night they go to bed knowing they've spent another 24 hours conforming to the expectations of those around them. But what if there's a 500-year-old secret that the most influential figures in history used to break free from this invisible prison? What if the key to personal freedom was cleverly hidden in the most strategic corners of thought, documented by a man so dangerous that his name became synonymous with ruthless power? Niccolò Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to help anyone climb the corporate ladder. He wrote it to show how one could seize their own throne in a world inherently designed to keep people in submission. Over the next 30 minutes, we will uncover the brutal truth about why conformity kills potential, how solitude can make you unstoppable, and present a precise strategy for building a life so authentic that others will passionately desire to follow its owner. A warning, however. Once you see what we are about to show you, it cannot be unlearned. Life will never look the same again. Are you ready to awaken from this matrix? You choose your own path. Our first point: the myth of conformity. Let's start with an uncomfortable but truthful observation. From the moment you are born, society actively shapes you in its own image. Go to school, get good grades, find a stable job, get married, buy a house, have children, retire, die. This almost identical script is offered to everyone, and we are led to believe that this path leads to true happiness. However, what is often left unsaid is that this meticulously designed life script was not developed for your self-actualization. Rather, it was created for the convenience of certain circles. Just think about your daily routine. How many of your decisions are truly your own? The time you wake up is dictated by your job. What you wear is determined by social expectations. What you consume is influenced by marketing strategies and peer pressure. Even your dreams and aspirations have been strictly censored through the lens of what society deems realistic or appropriate. The modern world has created a clever illusion of choice, methodically neutralizing choice itself. Individuals are offered thousands of different brands of the same product, and they are instilled with the illusion of freedom. Yet, the fundamental structure of one's life remains essentially unchanged and identical to everyone else's. The depth of this conditioning is beyond what you might expect. The education system taught you to sit in neat rows. Raise your hand before speaking, and follow instructions without question. The work environment reinforces these behavioral patterns with dress codes, meeting schedules, and performance reviews that measure conformity, not genuine creativity. The social environment sustains this phenomenon through gossip about those who dare to be different, unseen pressure pushing for uniformity, and rewards for successful integration. The result is a generation of docile phantoms who have forgotten they once had their own dreams. These are people who have so skillfully mastered the role others want them to play, that they have completely lost touch with their true essence under the weight of this pervasive conditioning. Niccolò Machiavelli once remarked, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." But what if no one surrounds you? What if you choose to think independently? The reality is that most individuals fear being alone because they have never mastered the art of trusting their own judgment. One would rather be wrong with the crowd than be right in isolation. This deeply ingrained fear of separation holds millions of lives captive to an existence they never truly chose. Consider the career path you are currently on. Was it chosen because it genuinely inspired and motivated you, or because it seemed like the safest option? Perhaps because it would impress others, or because it received parental approval. It's important to be honest with yourself. Look at your daily routines. Do you check social media first thing in the morning because you genuinely want to, or because everyone else does? Do you watch the same shows, listen to the same music, buy the same products as your social circle? When was the last time you made a choice that was absolutely independent and authentic? A similar pattern can be observed in personal relationships. Many, yielding to social pressures, choose partners who merely fit some average checklist of requirements, instead of seeking someone who can truly understand their inner world, their soul. How many friendships are maintained solely out of long-standing obligations or habit, rather than deep, sincere affection and spiritual kinship? How often in conversations do people not reveal their true selves, but merely play a prescribed role, hiding their genuine thoughts and feelings? The ordinary beaten path promises illusory safety and stability, but ultimately condemns one to mediocrity, stripping away uniqueness. It promises a sense of belonging to a community, but in return offers only conformity, demanding complete submission to common norms. It beckons with the phantom of success, but defines this success by external, imposed metrics, disregarding individual aspirations. It promises long-awaited happiness, but brings only emotional numbness, dulling true experiences. Finally, it promises a deep sense of purpose, but leaves behind only a crushing emptiness. The most tragic aspect of this situation is that most people don't even realize they are caught in this invisible trap. They mistakenly believe that their dissatisfaction and unhappiness stem from external factors such as a lack of financial means, failed relationships, or an unsuitable place of residence. They spend their entire lives trying to optimize someone else's game, striving to succeed by someone else's rules, instead of daring to create their own unique life strategy. True satisfaction, that feeling that makes you jump out of bed each morning filled with energy and anticipation, exists beyond these predetermined and imposed boundaries. It originates in the space between the external expectations of others and your deep knowledge of your own truth, your authentic self. Achieving this satisfaction requires immense courage. The courage to disappoint those who, in essence, never truly knew you, your authentic self. Recognizing this individual path is crucial for everyone. The second important aspect that demands deep reflection concerns the application of self-reliance in a world permeated by numerous connections. It is on this point that many make a common mistake. They mistakenly believe that choosing one's own independent path necessarily means becoming a recluse, completely severing all social ties, and burning bridges with everyone around them. However, this is not strategic independence. It is, in essence, merely voluntary isolation leading to loneliness. The truly strong and wise move is to learn to be completely self-reliant while meaningfully and productively interacting with other people. This is not about abandoning valuable human connections. On the contrary, it is about approaching these connections from a position of inner strength and confidence, rather than from a state of need or dependence. When one develops true self-reliance, something truly amazing and transformative happens in their relationships. They stop desperately seeking external approval and begin actively offering their unique value to others. They stop trying to fit into others' molds and begin to stand out brightly with their individuality, their unique style. They stop being led and take on the role of a leader, capable of setting direction and inspiring others. Let's consider a very illustrative practical example. Imagine a situation. You are in a business meeting where literally everyone present readily nods in complete agreement with an idea that is, in fact, extremely flawed. The traditional approach typically dictates two paths. Either express your disagreement, risking being perceived as difficult and uncooperative, or choose silence, thereby maintaining the appearance of harmony within the team. Both of these options, unfortunately, make you merely a reactive element, entirely dependent on the current group dynamic. However, the self-reliant approach is fundamentally different. The person who embodies it has already done all the necessary homework. They have their own deep analysis of the situation. They have developed their alternative solutions, and they have formed their firm convictions. When such a person decides to speak up, it is not out of inner insecurity or a compulsive need to be heard. Their words are the result of genuine expertise and independent, thoughtful reasoning. Such an approach invariably commands genuine respect, which simply following the crowd can never achieve. But let's delve deeper into how self-reliance manifests in practice, in daily life. It means, first and foremost, possessing your own verified sources of information, instead of blindly relying solely on what everyone else reads or says. It also implies developing your own clear criteria for making responsible decisions, instead of outsourcing your judgment to other people. Self-reliance is evident in creating your own unique definition of success, instead of blindly chasing metrics that hold no true value for you. Moreover, self-reliance means being financially independent enough to be able to painlessly exit situations that compromise personal values. It also implies sufficient emotional stability, allowing you not to constantly need approval from others. And finally, it means being intellectually curious enough to form your own well-reasoned opinions, rather than simply accepting whatever is trending or popular at the moment. Machiavelli, as is known, once declared, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." When you act based on genuine self-knowledge and independent thinking, the few who truly matter will undoubtedly recognize your authenticity, while the many whose opinions are less important will respect your inner strength. Strategic independence, contrary to popular misconceptions, actually significantly improves collaboration because it brings a unique, fresh perspective to the overall process. When everyone thinks alike, essentially no one is truly thinking deeply. But when you have developed and honed your own original point of view, you become valuable precisely because of your difference from others. Think about the most successful entrepreneurs throughout human history. They did not achieve their triumph by simply copying what everyone else was already doing. They succeeded by developing their own vision so clearly and convincingly that other people wanted to join them. Steve Jobs, for example, did not ask customers what they wanted. He created innovative products that people didn't even know they needed. Oprah Winfrey did not follow rigid television formulas. She created her own unique style, which many later tried unsuccessfully to imitate. This is the paradox of leadership, a profound truth that reveals the nature of influence. The more comfortable one feels in their own solitude, the stronger the pull they exert on others, compelling them to follow. Similarly, the deeper one's belief in their own judgment, the more trust others place in that judgment. When an individual achieves true authenticity, they inevitably attract connections based on similar sincerity. In the world of negotiations, this principle acquires truly golden value. If a negotiator does not desperately need to close a deal, they paradoxically receive the most favorable offers. The absence of a desperate desire for approval from others only intensifies their desire to provide that approval. Moreover, when one demonstrates a genuine willingness to walk away from a deal, the other parties become significantly more inclined to accept their terms. However, it is important to emphasize that the essence of this phenomenon is not about manipulative games or attempts to control others' opinions. The true meaning lies in forming such a clear and unwavering understanding of one's own value and life path that it naturally begins to attract suitable opportunities and fruitful partnerships. An individual who has achieved true self-reliance operates on a different principle. They do not actively build an extensive network of contacts. Instead, they become a center of gravity that others are drawn to. Such a person does not chase opportunities. Rather, they observe opportunities seeking them out. They do not need to actively sell themselves or their competencies, because their undeniable results and achievements speak for themselves, serving as the best proof. For them, the task is not to prove their worth. That worth is evident and indisputable to all who interact with them. However, such a deep internal transformation is not an instantaneous event that happens overnight. It requires a steadfast and consistent choice of one's own inner conviction, prioritizing it over fluctuating public opinion. This path involves the ability to decline even good opportunities to make room for truly great ones. It demands the courage to disappoint certain people in order to serve those who are truly important, and to whom one can bring maximum benefit. Ultimately, it is a path of embracing short-term discomfort, which is the necessary price for achieving deep and lasting satisfaction in the future. The inner state of such a person is essentially expressed in the conviction. He attracts resonance. Moving on to the next crucial aspect, we must consider the power of calculated risk. The topic of risk certainly deserves close attention. It is well known that the vast majority of people throughout their lives try to avoid any risky situations, preferring comfort and predictability. However, they often fail to grasp one fundamental truth. The most colossal risk imaginable lies precisely in the complete absence of any risk. Human. History irrefutably demonstrates that every significant achievement, every breakthrough in the development of civilization, was accomplished solely through a willingness to embrace risk. Behind every such moment stood an individual or a group of people ready to venture into uncharted territories, to leave familiar boundaries. Every scientific breakthrough, every technological innovation, every step forward in societal development became possible only because someone dared to prefer uncertainty and the challenge of the unknown over cozy but stagnant comfort. It was a choice in favor of movement, exploration, and potential discovery, rather than maintaining the status quo. It is crucial to draw a clear and decisive distinction between reckless gambling and conscious, calculated risk. Individuals acting recklessly often plunge into situations without even bothering to assess the potential consequences. In contrast, those who practice calculated risk approach matters entirely differently. They meticulously study the situation, analyze all available data, and prepare for potential developments across multiple scenarios. Only after such a comprehensive analysis do they make informed and balanced decisions, based on a deep understanding of the situation and their own expertise. The fear of risk is, at its core, a deeply rooted fear of responsibility. When one chooses a path of caution and avoids bold steps, they always have the option to blame external circumstances, fate, or other people for their dissatisfaction. However, as soon as they dare to take a risk, they instantly become the sole master and accountable for all subsequent outcomes, be they triumphant successes or bitter failures. It is no wonder that the vast majority of individuals prefer to remain victims of circumstance, rather than embrace the role of true authors and creators of their own life story. Niccolò Machiavelli, the great thinker of the past, once uttered wise words. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. This is not an appeal to cruelty or tyranny. The meaning of these words lies in earning the respect of others through one's competence, deep knowledge, and unwavering resolve, rather than solely gaining their affection through complacence or spinelessness. When one dares to take a calculated and deliberate risk, even attempts that don't yield perfect results turn into invaluable lessons and a powerful impetus for further progress. Every so-called failure in this context transforms into crucial data for analysis. Every obstacle that arises along the way becomes a form of preparation for a future triumphant return. And every mistake, inevitably made in the process, becomes a unique educational experience that cannot be acquired in any other way. It's worth contemplating the following question. What's the absolute worst that could happen if someone decided to follow their true, deeply held dreams instead of clinging to a false sense of security? Seriously, this scenario deserves thoughtful analysis. In the vast majority of cases, the worst-case outcome isn't nearly as catastrophic, especially when compared to the slow, agonizing death of the spirit that occurs when a person lives someone else's imposed life. Let's now consider some of the most common fears and compare them with reality. A person might fear financial ruin, yet they are often already financially trapped in a system that frequently fails to adequately reward their true worth and potential. There's the fear of social rejection, yet they are often surrounded by people who don't truly know or appreciate their individuality. There's the fear of failure, but they are already failing to realize their own inherent potential. On the other hand, an equally important question arises. What's the worst that could happen if a person never dares to take a risk? In that case, they will reach the end of their life having never discovered what they were truly capable of. They will have played it so safe that they never truly lived. They will die without ever having released the music that resonated within them. As the well-known saying goes, the Machiavellian principle of anticipating potential obstacles is not a sign of pessimism. It is, first and foremost, preparation. When a person thoroughly considers all possible difficulties in advance and develops adequate contingency plans, they gain the ability to move forward with unwavering confidence, rather than under the pressure of fear. Here's a practical framework for thoughtfully embracing calculated risk. First, it is crucial to define with utmost clarity what one aims to achieve and why this aspiration holds such profound significance for their life. Vague, nebulous dreams typically lead to equally indistinct and unsatisfactory results. It is necessary to be extremely specific in articulating the desired outcome and to thoroughly understand one's deep, true motives. Such crystal clarity will serve as a reliable anchor in those moments when difficulties and obstacles inevitably arise along the path. Second, one should meticulously identify all potential risks and objectively assess their probability. A significant portion of the fears that plague a person dissipates once they are carefully and impartially examined. It is recommended to write down all worst-case scenarios and honestly analyze how realistic their realization is. Often, it is discovered that many anxieties are based on a vivid imagination, rather than on actual facts or convincing evidence. Third, it is essential to develop well-thought-out backup plans in advance. What will be done if the primary Plan A proves ineffective? And what if Plan B also fails to yield the desired result? Having multiple alternative strategies does not mean that one is programming themselves for failure. On the contrary, it demonstrates readiness for adaptation and flexibility. Such comprehensive preparation, in essence, significantly increases the chances of success, as it allows for swift adjustments and the discovery of new solutions when external circumstances rapidly change. Fourth, it is advisable to start with small steps and gradually increase the pace. There is no need to put everything on the line by betting on a single, enormous risk. It is much wiser to take smaller, carefully calculated risks that will, over time, build self-confidence and develop competencies. Each successfully implemented step creates a solid foundation and potential for taking more significant risky decisions in the future. Fifth, it is critically important to establish clear timelines and define specific metrics for evaluating success. How will a person know if the chosen approach is working? And when will it be time to reevaluate the situation? Having clear, measurable milestones prevents both premature abandonment of a promising endeavor and excessively prolonged persistence in a venture that clearly isn't yielding the desired results. Finally, action is necessary. Analysis without subsequent action is nothing more than a disguised form of procrastination. At a certain point, one must stop planning and begin active doing. Perfect information does not exist in nature, and the ideal time to start never truly arrives. It's important to remember that the goal is not to completely eliminate risk from life. The goal is to take more thoughtful and intelligent risks. Someone who never faces setbacks is typically someone who never attempts anything truly worthwhile. Someone who never confronts uncertainty will never fully unlock their true potential. Risk is not one's enemy. The true enemy is mediocrity. Uncertainty is not the problem. Complacency is the problem. The unknown is not what should be feared. On the contrary, it is the known limitations of one's current life that should inspire genuine dread. Embrace uncertainty. Now comes perhaps the most crucial and exciting stage: creating your own, hitherto unexplored path. It's important to understand that this is by no means about a complete and uncompromising renunciation of all the benefits and opportunities that modern society offers. On the contrary, the key idea is the conscious and deliberate selection of those elements that harmoniously align with one's deep, true vision, and the resolute discarding of everything that contradicts or hinders its realization. The paramount step on this arduous but fascinating path is to demonstrate utmost, uncompromising honesty towards one's own desires. It is vital to determine what one truly craves, not what they believe they should want, succumbing to external influence. One must cast aside imposed expectations, the judgmental opinions of others, the paralyzing fear of failure, and any external programs dictating specific behaviors. Ask yourself, what would you pursue if you knew for certain that failure was absolutely impossible? What would you do if you knew no one was watching or judging your actions? What precisely fills you with a sense of genuine, all-consuming life? This process of deep self-discovery, as experience shows, turns out to be much harder than it might seem at first glance. The reason lies in the fact that most people have been accustomed for a long time to ignore their genuine aspirations and desires, to such an extent that many of them have simply forgotten what it feels like to experience them. In some cases, it may be necessary to return to distant childhood memories to rediscover those sparks of true delight and unfeigned interest that ignited within the soul before the adult world began to insistently call for realism and pragmatism. It's important to remember that this path is not a one-time exercise or an instant epiphany. A person's true vision is a dynamic, constantly evolving entity that transforms and enriches itself as they grow personally, accumulate experience, and gain new knowledge. The main task is to continuously maintain an unbreakable connection with one's inner compass, allowing one to navigate the world, while retaining flexibility and adaptability regarding the specific route and methods of achieving it. The great thinker Niccolò Machiavelli once shrewdly observed, "A lion cannot protect himself from traps, and a fox cannot protect himself from wolves." From this, it follows that to successfully forge one's own path, a person must possess the qualities of both a fox, to be able to recognize hidden traps and dangers, and a lion, to deter potential wolves, obstacles, doubts, and negative influences. In other words, it requires not only cunning, a sharp mind, and perceptiveness, but also fearlessness, courage, and unwavering bravery. A comprehensive action plan for those ready to embark on this journey is presented. It should begin with a thorough personal audit. Which aspects of one's current life are in harmony with their authentic vision? And conversely, which aspects are they maintaining merely out of inertia, fear of change, or under external pressure? In this process, one must be ruthlessly honest with oneself. Such an analysis can be quite unpleasant and painful, but it is absolutely necessary. It's impossible to effectively move towards a goal without a clear understanding of one's current position. Next, carefully examine your daily schedule. How much time does one dedicate to activities that genuinely energize and inspire them, and how much to those that relentlessly drain their strength? What proportion of mental energy is directed towards things of true value to them, and what portion to what they feel obligated to do? Finally, how many of their interpersonal relationships enrich their life and are beneficial, and how many, on the contrary, deplete precious resources and energy? Furthermore, it is necessary to delve into self-knowledge to identify a unique blend of strengths, interests, and fundamental values. One should ask themselves, what do they do better than most people around them? What activities or subjects can endlessly captivate their attention? What principles are unshakable and non-negotiable for them? These elements are meant to become the compass pointing the right direction on their life path. It is important to understand that personal strengths extend far beyond purely technical skills. They encompass multifaceted aspects, character traits, a unique mindset, innate talents, and, of course, acquired abilities. Interests, in turn, are not limited to simple hobbies. They are those areas and activities that magnetically attract attention and absorb a person's energy. And values are not just abstract doctrines. They are deeply rooted principles for which a person is willing to make sacrifices. After this stage of self-analysis, one should proceed with the implementation of what has been conceived, taking consistent, even if small, steps toward the intended vision. There is no need to make radical decisions, such as immediately quitting one's job or moving to another country. One can start with daily actions that align with their true direction. This could be something as simple as dedicating 30 minutes each morning to an important personal project, or something more ambitious, such as launching a side business. The key aspect here is not so much the intensity of effort as its consistency. Small but daily actions, accumulating over time, can lead to truly grand results. One page written each day turns into a complete book over a year. One small business experiment conducted monthly eventually builds invaluable entrepreneurial experience. One sincere conversation initiated each week gradually builds an extensive network of genuine and strong relationships. It is extremely important to create your own metrics for success. Society, of course, will impose its criteria, asserting that success is measured by money, status, or public recognition. However, what exactly does success mean for a particular individual? It is necessary to clearly define this to always know when one is truly winning. These personal metrics can include indicators of freedom, the degree of control over one's time and decisions. They can encompass indicators of impact, how significant and positive a difference one makes in the world. They can also include indicators of satisfaction, how often one feels energized and inspired by their activities, rather than drained by them. Finally, one should develop their own feedback loops. Instead of relying entirely on external approval, it's necessary to create mechanisms for measuring one's own progress according to personal standards. This will help to focus on what truly matters, not on what is temporarily popular. Traditional feedback often comes from bosses, clients, critics, or social media metrics. However, these external evaluations may not reflect true significance for one's authentic path. Therefore, it is crucial to create internal measures that will track alignment with personal values, progress toward one's vision, and overall life satisfaction. One should be prepared for inevitable resistance. When a person begins to forge their unique path, some around them may experience misunderstanding. They often start to question the choices made, predict possible failure, or persistently try to convince one to return to the once safe and predictable path. This state of affairs is quite natural. Their own discomfort, caused by another's independence, is often a direct reflection of their personal difficulties or unrealized ambitions. This opposition can manifest in various forms and originate from diverse sources. It can come from close relatives, genuinely wishing for one to conform to their own, often outdated, ideas of success and well-being. Resistance is often found among friends, who may unconsciously perceive another's personal growth as a threat to their own status or stability. Finally, colleagues may also prefer to deal with the familiar, predictable version of a person, rather than with someone who has dared to step outside the conventional. It is important to always remember that such opinions and judgments generally stem from the personal limitations of those who express them, rather than from the boundless potential of someone striving for authenticity. To successfully advance along the chosen path, it is crucial to form a reliable support system consisting of people who can truly understand and genuinely encourage one's authentic life journey. It is quite likely that current friends or family members will not be part of this circle, and that is perfectly normal. One may need to actively seek new mentors capable of pointing the right direction, integrate into different communities where a spirit of acceptance prevails, or establish contacts with like-minded individuals who share a deep commitment to the idea of an authentic, unconventional existence. Such a support network becomes an invaluable resource in moments of doubt and difficulty. It's important to always remember that this path is not an endpoint, but a continuous process of adaptation, self-discovery, and ongoing learning. Life's road will twist and turn in unexpected ways that are impossible to predict in advance. The goal is not to grasp and understand every single nuance of future events. The true task is to maintain unwavering fidelity to one's authentic inner vision, while demonstrating admirable flexibility in choosing methods and approaches for its realization in an ever-changing world. Above all, it is extremely important to learn to trust your own instincts. Every person has access to unique information about their own essence that is completely inaccessible to anyone else. It is within themselves that they hold knowledge of their deepest desires, of dormant abilities yet to be uncovered, and of a unique perspective on the surrounding world. This inner knowledge is their most valuable asset. It is precisely this deep knowledge that should be actively applied in one's life. A person's instincts represent the quintessence of all accumulated experience, the result of countless observations and sudden insights. This is nothing less than the work of the subconscious, which processes vast amounts of information at such incredible speed that the conscious mind cannot even systematize and analyze it. Therefore, when something feels deeply right or, conversely, clearly wrong, one should listen carefully to this internal response. Often, it turns out to be significantly more accurate than the most meticulous logical analysis, pointing the right direction where the rational mind still hesitates. This material has covered many important aspects. The misconception of conformity was thoroughly debunked, and it was shown how adhering to generally accepted norms inevitably constrains a person's true potential. An investigation was also conducted into how strategic, conscious independence can actually significantly enrich interpersonal connections and expand the horizons of personal and professional opportunities. The power of calculated risk was discussed, as well as how even temporary setbacks can serve as a powerful catalyst for progress, propelling the individual forward. Finally, a comprehensive concept was presented, serving as a foundation for building one's own, truly unique life path. However, no matter how valuable information may be, without subsequent action, it remains merely dead weight. One can consume countless videos, read many books, and attend every available seminar. But until they begin to move along their own, unique route, no significant changes will occur in their life. The world has an urgent need for precisely what only each specific individual can offer: It needs their unique perspective, their unique talents, their original vision. However, these invaluable gifts will never be received if a person constantly strives to imitate someone else, trying to be who they are not. One only needs to recall the greatest contributions made to the treasury of human civilization. Without exception, all of them came from individuals who possessed the courage to think unconventionally, act independently of generally accepted norms, and create something completely new, previously non-existent. These achievements were the result of people who categorically refused to accept the existing state of affairs as something immutable and unchangeable. Instead, they consciously chose the path of forging their own, unique road. One's own throne does not await them in some vague and distant future. It will not be passed down to them by other people. It is not hidden in some secret, concealed place. This throne begins to exist at the very moment a person makes a firm decision to claim it. It appears the second an individual chooses their own unique path instead of the well-worn and beaten track. It manifests the moment a person begins to trust themselves far more than the voice of the crowd. The question, therefore, is not whether a person is capable of forging their own path. There is no doubt about it. They are absolutely capable. The true question is whether they are ready to embark on this journey. Are they willing to risk disappointing some people just to remain true to themselves? Are they ready to face uncertainty head-on to fully unleash their inner potential? Are they prepared, if necessary, to stand alone to live a truly authentic life? Every day a person postpones their journey is another day lived by someone else's script, another person's life. Every excuse they make is another brick in the walls of the prison they construct around their own potential. Every time they choose perceived safety over authenticity, they cast their vote for mediocrity, forsaking greatness. The time to start is today. The time to start is right now. Take at least one small but decisive action that brings you closer to your authentic vision. Send that email. Make that important call. Take that first crucial step. Write that very first page. Have that difficult but necessary conversation. Make that investment in yourself. Your future self patiently awaits the moment you finally take that first step. It's important to remember that true courage is never the complete absence of fear. On the contrary, it is taking action even when fear is present, when your knees are trembling but you push forward. You don't need to feel absolutely prepared or have all the answers to get started. Nor do you need anyone's permission or approval. The only thing truly required is simply to begin your journey. Your own path is calling to you persistently. This call may have been heard throughout your life, piercing through the hustle and bustle of everyday existence. It's time to cast aside endless excuses and decisively move forward, towards new horizons. It's time to stop being merely a follower, and instead embrace the role of a leader, guiding your own way. It's time to abandon living by others' blueprints, and begin diligently creating your own unique reality. A symbolic throne, representing dominion over your own destiny, awaits its rightful occupant. The only question is whether you dare to claim it. It seems that this very moment is the decisive one for you.